Alright, welcome to the MIG welding bay. We have a gas bottle. We have one MIG welder here which has two controls, and we're focusing on the bottom controls. They're the only ones we are going to adjust, and we will adjust them according to the chart on the wall over here. So that's for this one, Transmig 185, and this other MIG welder, the one beside it, we will be adjusting these three dials. First one is for wire speed, and then these set the power and they operate together. And we're going to use the chart on the wall above us, right there, which has got the information on it. So this is a steady MIG 175. Now, because there are a number of fumes that come off, toxic fumes, some of them, we need to make sure we ventilate. And now above here we've got two ventilation ducts up there and over there, and we also have a control on the wall over here. Now that control controls the speed of the fan, and so that's on at the moment. And we also have this thing here, which is a snorkel, and we need to make sure that this valve is in line, straight up and down like that, so that it can suck away the fumes as we're welding on our metal on this bench. Now you can see this bench has been beautifully cleaned off, it's been ground off, and it's in really good condition. So lie your pieces of metal on here to weld. For practice welding, there is a piece of scrap metal here, and you can practice welding on top of that. So no welding on the bench, always weld on the scrap metal. We have our welding torch. I'll bring it around here so you can see it a bit better. And we have a trigger here, and we have a nozzle, and out of the nozzle comes the wire and also the gas. The gas inside it is an inert gas, and that shields the weld and prevents the weld from actually rusting or oxidizing. And so when we pull the trigger, that wire comes out. So, setting up, first thing we do is turn the gas bottle on, this one here, and we just open that a little bit. The gauge on the left should operate in the green area, and that's going to tell us that there's enough gas coming out the hose. We have two power switches here, so I'll turn that one on, and you can hear the welder starting up. Now, we go back to the torch. If I pull the trigger, you'll see that wire comes out, and you'll hear a hissing sound. The hissing sound is not the wire, but it's the gas that's coming out around the outside of the wire. So if we look down inside the nozzle there, you'll see. Okay. Now when we're welding, we need to wear a full face helmet. That's one there. You can see a dial on the right hand side here. It needs to be left pretty much in the middle setting. That's the pointer there. So about there, about halfway is fine. We need to adjust the headband so that it fits on your head, and to adjust that we push that down and then rotate it. And that adjusts the headband, and if I come back you'll see the headband, and so that now can go on your head. And this one's automatic, it turns itself on. We have another MIG welding helmet here, one with flames on it, and this one has a switch right here, a little button. You just press that once and that turns the helmet on, and that's all you need to do. You must wear a helmet. The light from the welding can damage your eyes, can actually burn your retina, the back part of your eye that receives all of the light and the colour. So that's a helmet. It has a similar adjustment on the back strap. If we come around the back here, you can see there is the control which we need to push in. You need to push it in as you rotate it, and that changes the strap size for your head. So you need to get that nice and comfortable. we have got some gloves, and so I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put a glove, this glove here, on my left hand. And if I need a glove on my right hand, then I'll simply use a small light glove like we have in the workshop. But these are heavy gloves, gauntlet type gloves, and that's going to be in my left hand. And when you see me welding, you'll see why I've got it in my left hand, because that's the hand nearest where all the action is and where the heat might be. Right, I'm going to put my helmet on. I'm going to adjust the back strap so it fits on my head just nicely like that. Get my glasses organised inside. Nice and firm. This one, I just need to turn the on button. On it goes. You'll see that the wire here is protruding and it's actually sticking out too long. I want to nip that off. So I'm going to do that by simply pulling the trigger while it's touching this piece of scrap metal. And that's done. Now I'm going to practice welding, and so I'm going to use my gloved hand to support the welding torch. I'm going to bring it quite close to the metal and then lift it away a small amount and then start welding. I'm going to pull the trigger now. Now if we have a closer look at what I've just done, you'll see that I've actually welded, and as I've welded I've moved the torch along like that. I've actually weaved from side to side a small amount like that, and that's really useful when you're joining two pieces of steel. So I want you to practice on these. Be really careful that anything on the welding bench, this is really hot now, so you don't pick it up with a glove. The gloves themselves are made of leather, they're not flame proof or heat proof particularly. They're to stop you accidentally burning yourself. I mean, if I just touch that on there now, you can see straight away it scorches. It's quite hot. I mean, the temperature for welding is about 1500 degrees Celsius, so it's quite hot. You need to be careful with that. Alright, let's have a look at doing some close-ups of the welding now. Alright, glove goes on my left hand, helmet goes on my head. I'm going to support the torch with my hand. I'm going to turn it around so the hot metal's on the other side. I'm going to put my hand on the table and create a V between my thumb and forefinger so that I can support the end of the torch and control it. Alright, away we go. Beautiful, look at that. When you're finished welding, always hang up. Always hang up the torch and helmet, and the torch hangs up like that. It's a good idea to have the cable so it's pretty much off the floor. You need to let your metal cool down. Let it cool down. It's going to take a few minutes. Let it cool down naturally. The temptation is to put metal in water to cool it down, but in fact all that does is makes the metal brittle and makes it hard. It also makes it hard to cut or hacksaw or machine later on. And because we're machining the welded logs, we need to make sure the metal stays as soft as possible so that the lathe can actually do the machining and cut them smooth. Alright, now to do the final weld. We've got the disc of metal pushed into the end of the welded log, and so what I need to do now is weld around the edge of that disc so the disc will stay in there. Now, as always, a really good idea when you're welding is to always practice. Always, because what it does, it checks you and it also checks the welder. So I'm going to practice on this piece here, and I'm going to weld away from you. No, not quite hot enough. I'm going to turn it up to the next setting, which is 75 and 2. On the chart, 75 and 2. Let's try that again. Much better. Alright. Now you may not have noticed, but with my left hand I've actually controlled the zigzagging across, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, all the way around. I can feel a considerable amount of heat on my glove, but my hand is quite comfortable. Whatever you do, don't touch that. Right, let's hang up the gear, hang up the mask, hang up the torch, and we are done. And we need to let that cool down naturally. And so what we'll do is we'll pick that up with pliers and we'll take it round the other side of this wall onto the gas welding bench and put it on the fire bricks and let it cool down naturally. Now those of you on cleanup, one of the tables in this workshop their job is to clean up the welding bay. That is to make sure that there's a pair of gloves on each welder, that the helmet is not there, it's actually hung up, like this one over here, that the gas bottle is shut off, that's this one here, so that's clockwise, and that both power switches are off.